Hello, Top Fan Reverie followers. It's Bill and Jackson. It's Friday morning. You know what that means. That means it's the weekly review. Thank you for being a Locker Room Access member. Thank you for uh, following us. And my screen, normally I had Truett Field on the backdrop, but Jackson said something before this. So now, for all of you wondering, yep, that's right. I put Citizens Bank Ballpark just for Jackson. Jackson, how are you this morning or this morning?
I'm doing all right.
Yep. Your fault, sir. Your fault, sir.
Eh,
It's okay.
Citizens Bank. It's okay.
It's okay. All right, Jackson, what do you got for number one today?
Number one. Well, I was going to talk about how about them Angels?
Ooh, how about them Angels?
Well, they're 8-2 in their last 10, Bill.
Hmm?
And they've been beaten up on Texas. They've cut the divisional lead down to 5.5 games. That's not the important thing. They're only a game and a half back in the wild card. Shohei Ohtani decided, to hit more home runs. He leads the American League with 21 home runs, 52 RBIs, has a
Mm-hmm.
987 OPS. So, what do you think, Bill? Are the Angels hitting their stride, or is this a flash in the pan?
Yes, on both. See all the above. Good question. This one's hard to answer because are they hitting their stride? Sure. Could it be a flash in the pants? Possibly. I read an article yesterday that they might shut Shohei down from pitching for a couple of weeks for fatigue reasons, so they don't have to put him on the IL. So that could make a difference in what the Angels do.
Yeah, I feel like they have a lot more depth in their rotation this year. Um,
Yes.
just from a baseball fan standpoint, looking at their rotation, Reed Detmers pitched 6 innings against Texas the other night. Jaime Birria has been pretty good. That Patrick Sandoval. Uh, I can't remember anyone else, but
Tyler
yeah,
Anderson.
Tyler Anderson. A really good bullpen with Carlos Estevez, who has 19 saves, hasn't blown a save all year. So I think the Angels have kind of found their identity as a team, and they're just kind of rolling with it.
There's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. So yeah. Are they hitting their stride? I don't know. Um, is it a flash in the pants? I sure hope not. It's good when the Angels are good.
Yeah, you know, from an outside perspective, I kind of like their roster construction. I like how they have like a rounded out bench. I think their pitching's kind of like sneaky good.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully Ohtani doesn't have to miss significant time with his arm. He'll just keep hitting home runs, I guess, if he doesn't pitch.
Yeah. He had 2 home runs the other night against the Rangers. He's performing at very high levels, and so I like that with him. But still, yeah, good question. Good question. So, speak of flash in the pans. Are the Diamondbacks, this is my number one, are they the real deal? Or will the month of July prove that, well, stranger things have happened? Now, let me explain to this, Jackson. So, I'm looking at their schedule right now for the month of July. Now, some folks would say, hey, these guys haven't necessarily performed at the highest of levels yet because they haven't had to play certain teams. I disagree with that. I think that that's hogwash. But let's talk July for a second. 2 games with the Angels, 3 games with the Mets, 3 games with the Pirates, 3 games with the Blue Jays, 3 games against the Braves, 3 games against the Reds, who are hot right now, 3 games against the Cardinals, that's a wash, 3 games against the Mariners, and then you start with San Francisco. What do you think?
I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on how healthy their rotation stays. I feel like they have, their lineup's really good, but I feel like their starting rotation, just needs to continue to do what they've been doing all season, which is put quality innings in. Because if their rotation kind of starts falling apart, that bullpen's not very good. And I don't care if you have guys like Corbin Carroll or Christian Walker in your lineup. It's hard to outscore the other team when the other team's scoring like 7 or 8 runs. So
This is true. This is true. And see, and here's what's interesting. So they're playing, they just wrapped up a series with Philadelphia. Now they're playing the Guardians at home for 3. Then they go on the road to the Brewers for 3. And on their day off, they fly to DC and play that Thursday, a makeup game. And then they go from DC that night back to San Francisco to play in San Francisco. That's a lot of travel.
who put that makeup game there? That's terrible. Milwaukee's nowhere near Washington D.C.
I know, but the Braves are also nowhere near the National League West, and they were in the National League West forever. So,
I mean, looking at it, doesn't look like the Diamondbacks go. I guess they play the Mets in September, but there's not really time for them to play. That's weird.
well, and see, you look at that schedule, right? So you look at uh, a decent Guardians team, a Brewers team that's slumping right now, but is still fighting for a position. Then you got the Nationals. Then you got to play the Giants, who are hot right now, followed up by Tampa Bay and the Angels. And you've got one day off from the 15th. I'm sorry, from the 16th of June to the 3rd of July is when your first next day off is. You have one off day in there. So are they that good, or are they just gonna tire themselves out?
I mean, we'll find out. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Um, if championships were won in June, I'm sure the list of all-time champions would be a lot different.
Probably. The Braves wouldn't have won the championship in 2021 if that were the case.
No.
So probably. I like that. I like that. All right. What's your number 2?
How about another big news out of the AL West? Yordan Alvarez is going to be out for at least 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Yep.
So I know the Astros are good, everyone. So, but Yordan Alvarez is one of those special talents, special players. Um, I think the Astros are going to miss him. He could carry you for a series. I saw that earlier this year against the Braves. This year, he single handedly won 2 of those games against the Braves by himself. Um, so it's going to be interesting because the American League has a lot of very top heavy that MVP race. Both Judge and Alvarez are out, so Shohei's probably going to start running away with it. But do you think the Astros can stay ahead of the Angels or catch the Rangers without Yordan Alvarez?
Maybe.
Or both?
Maybe. Maybe. It's tough. It's a tough call. It's a very tough call. Do the Angels catch the Astros? Possibly. Do the Astros stay or overcome the Rangers? Probably not. But remember, they're playing the Rangers at the end of the month. So that tells you something right there, right?
Big game.
Yep.
Big games.
Yep. I like that. I like that. That's good. I'm going to come back to standings here in a second, but here's my number 2. The rule changes. So last night on Wednesday night, I get my days confused. It's Friday morning. Wednesday night at the Ravine, Chavez Ravine, Dodgers are playing the White Sox. Okay. Dodgers have scored 1 run and they've got bases loaded. Sorry, they got first and third. A weak ground ball to Tim Anderson, who's playing second base, and Elvis Andrus is playing short. A weak ground ball. Tim Anderson decides to go to second. A bang bang play. The umpire, safe. Right? And then there's no play at first. Now you got the bases loaded. Well, with the rule changes, you only have so much time to challenge it. So the manager doesn't challenge it in time, and he's sitting there saying, headset, headset, headset. But he waited too long. So now he comes out of the dugout and starts telling the home plate umpire. And if you're watching on TV, you don't know what's going on. But the home plate umpire jaws back at him. And then it's the finger pointing thing. And then it's, you're out of here. And then the crew chief who's on first base comes over and then they get into it. Right. Come to find out, he waited like 5 seconds too long to challenge it. Now, if you challenge it, if you watch the replay, if you challenge it, he's still safe. Okay. But I still would have challenged it if I was in the dugout. I definitely would have challenged it because it was definitely a challengeable play. Definitely a challengeable play. So rule changes. What do you think, Jackson?
I kind of like the rule where it's at. I like how they're on a clock because every team has a replay guy, and I understand not wanting giving the replay guy 3 minutes to go through every single possible angle. Teams being really stingy with their challenges. I think it encourages a little bit more risk taking. There's a risk reward kind of thing. If you think you could get the play, you challenge, because if you get it right, you're good to go, and if you don't, you're out of you're out of challenge. So it also, I think, affects what plays team challenge. If it's nobody's on base and it's a bang bang play at first base with 2 outs, teams are less inclined to challenge if it's really that close. I think
Yeah.
it helps keep the flow of the game. Whereas if you didn't have that time limit, we'd just be sitting around waiting for a team's replay guy to go, I think I got it right here, guys. Challenge it, and then you got to wait for New York to watch it.
So yeah, somebody told me the other day, and these challenges, we're getting too close to the NFL. Somebody the other day said, give him a red flag so he can just throw it on the field. And I thought, no, 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 no. Now we're the NFL. We don't want a red flag. Don't throw a red flag. So I like the speed of it, but it was hard to tell. And I'm sure the replay guys at the top were like looking at it going, oh, no, okay, challenge it. But it was just too late. Just too late.
Yeah, but as the rule is right now, I like it. And
Okay.
there's certain plays you can't challenge, which can be frustrating sometimes, but you got to understand, certain judgment calls and stuff like that. And again, it's for the flow of the game, so if every play was challengeable, could you believe that?
Yeah. Yeah.
How long would we be at the ballpark?
Yeah. Yeah. Be there all night. Be a 6-hour game in challenges alone. Okay, so what's you got for number 3?
All right. So for those of you who could see the video, how about America's team, the Cincinnati Reds? Um, you know, they're a little hot right now. I think I talked about them last week or the week before, and they've really kind of rewarded my insight by coming on real strong. They've won, 5 in a row. They started weekend series with Houston, so that'll be a real test. They're a game and a half out in the division behind Pittsburgh, and the young guys are really, really carrying them. Matt McLain, Ellie De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, guys like that. They got some exciting young pitching. So how about them Reds? 8-2 over their last 10 as well. Just
Yeah.
coming on strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody kind of looked past the Reds because they had such a slow start. But De La Cruz has helped spark that offense. And that guy that they have at short, McLean or something like that,
Yeah.
he's good. He's sneaky good. And he could look like he could bench press a Volkswagen and have a cheeseburger in the other hand.
Yeah.
Like, he's good.
Yeah. Talking about that start, I think they started 7-15 or something like that. And so that makes them 27-20 over their last 47 games, which isn't bad. Not bad for a team that everyone thought was going to finish last place in the NL Central,
By far, last place. Nobody thought did you think that the Cardinals would be as bad as they are?
No. If you asked someone before the season, they would probably flip the records of the Reds and the Cardinals, at least,
At a bare minimum.
at a
Yeah,
bare minimum, as a worst case scenario for the Cardinals. If somebody woke up from a coma that went into a coma before the season started, you put up just the records without the team names, I'm pretty sure they would put Cincinnati at that 27-42 mark. So what they've done is nothing short of remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. And notice how every team in that division in the National League Central have a plus minus that's negative. Yeah.
I mean,
Milwaukee is in second place and their plus minus is -25. Pittsburgh is in first place and their plus minus is -10.
but what does that tell you, though? They win a lot of close games and they lose not a lot.
Right.
The run differentials aren't too bad, so they just play a lot of close games. And I think that's just, with how the National League is, it's very top heavy. So when you play those good teams, every game's a close game. Every series is the dogfight,
sure. Yeah.
beat them up, smash them up, whatever you want to call them.
So my number three goes along with that a little bit. So I'm gonna stink your time here for a second. My number three is very similar to that. My number three is the first place team is 35 and 33, then followed by 31 and 36, 30 and 39, 27 and 39, and 18 and 50. Which division am I talking about?
You're talking about the AL Central.
Yes. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new worst team in Major League Baseball. Hats off to the Kansas City Royals for being 18 and 50.
On that note, congratulations to the Oakland Athletics for winning 7 in a row to buck that trend.
Yes, yes, exactly. So this division is bad, just bad. And so the Minnesota Twins have played 68 games. So 68 games, if we double that, if it's 1.5 times, basically to win that division, you need to have 83 wins. That's horrific.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
If a division can win the division with 83 wins, sign me up for that division every day and twice on Sunday. Now I did talk to two fans or fans of teams in the Central, and they said, unfortunately, the way that we look at it is we look at it as just get to the dance and then we'll see how it plays from there. Well,
Yeah,
that's a lot. There's a lot of truth to that, but 83 wins, and it would suck. It would really, really suck if you have, let's say you're the Braves and the Braves stay hot, right? And the Braves win 103 games and they're matched up with, this would be a bad example. So let's say the Yankees end up winning 100 games this season and they're matched up the first round with Minnesota, and Minnesota's got 83 wins. The Yankees have 17 more wins than they do, 10% more in the entire season, and get knocked out in the first round. Some people will argue, is this a good thing? Is this a good thing? So I'll argue that, yeah, game on. But you see where I'm going with that, Jackson? It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up a stat. I heard something crazy. It was a couple weeks ago, so I was trying to find an updated thing. The Guardians have lost over 21 run games already. And they've won like 13 or something like that. Probably like 15 now. But it's
Terrible.
just as a fan, I wouldn't mind losing, if you lost convincingly every night. But can we talk about the madness that it would be to watch that many one-run games in such a short period?
Yeah.
And your team's not playing well. It sounds like madness.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like triple madness. It's like, okay, it's a one-run game. It's kind of like the Dodgers feel about their bullpen. Somebody texted me the other day and said, hey, we're into the Dodgers bullpen. It's time for me to start drinking.
Oh,
I mean, it's kind of that bad. Right. Oh, we're down by 1 run. Okay. That's it. We're done. We know we're going to lose. So, well, Jackson, it's interesting that we chose divisions and individual teams and not individual players this week, but I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. There's a lot to be said for these teams, and we're not early into the season anymore. We're coming up on halfway into the season.
I have the one-run game splits. They're 13 and 17.
They have 31 run games
Already, yeah. Out of 67 games, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's what cardiologists are made for.
Yeah,
If you're
13,
a Guardians,
13 and 17. Oof.
Yeah, that's brutal.
That is brutal.
All right, Jackson. So, do you have any honorable mentions this week?
I have 2 honorable mentions this week.
Okay, go for it.
I'll start with the really big one that I probably should have mentioned, with the Oakland Athletics fans reverse boycott, as it was called, where they filled the Coliseum. That was kind of cool.
They didn't fill it, but they had more people there than 1900.
Yeah, they almost capacity the Coliseum as it's at right now because the top tier's closed. It's really complicated. Anyways,
Oh.
you know, unfortunately, it looks like the team is slated to move to Las Vegas. So
Mhm. It was approved on Wednesday. The city council on Wednesday approved the move.
but we'll see. You got to feel for Oakland fans. It's hard to show up for games. When the ownership raises ticket prices and then takes away all your good players every other year. But
Yep.
anyways, it was a cool moment for baseball to see how loud it got
Yep.
at an
Okay.
Oakland Athletics game on a Tuesday. My second honorable mention is going to be a little bit of a homer mention. Uh, I know you like this guy, Bill. Michael Harris over his last 15 games is 16 for his last 54 with 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, and he's stolen a couple of bases. And
I do like him.
he has almost a 900 OPS. So for those of you who haven't been following, Michael Harris started off the season not hot, and he's looked absolutely on fire. The last couple of weeks he's been hitting the ball hard. He had a 7-hit series against Detroit earlier this week. So we might be seeing the reemergence of the star Michael Harris.
The star that is Michael Harris.
The star
Okay, those are good honorable mentions. I have one honorable mention for you.
All right.
I'm going to be a homer. I'm going to use the Dodgers for a second, but I want to say this might even be the Astros, as you brought up early on, or any team. I am going to say that you could probably trust more information coming out of the White House than you can out of a club's injury report. And that's all money driven. That's all it is. And case in point, right? Dustin May has a slight arm issue week and a half ago, right? Gets pulled out of the game week and a half ago. 2 weeks ago, maybe. Okay. He's going to be on the 10-day DL. The Dodgers very sneakily moved him to the 60-day DL. And I read a report yesterday or 2 days ago or 3 days ago, sometime this week, that Dave Roberts had said last Friday, there is no timetable for Dustin returning. There's some arm issues, and he had a shot of something and it didn't respond well. So when you know that, tell the fans that. Because as a Dodger fan, I'm looking at this and I'm going, we're not going to see Dustin May the rest of the season.
No, yeah, 60-day injured list at this point in the season. It's pretty iffy for a return if it's not retroactive to a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's not retroactive. It's 60 days.
Yeah.
Julio Urias has a small hamstring issue, which now they've pushed back his throwing program. Or I think it was a hamstring issue, but they pushed back his throwing program, and he's slated to come back after the All-Star break. So another 3 weeks of the season, right? Max Muncy has a small hamstring, something bothering him. Well, apparently it's not a tear, but it's a grade 2 something something. They're gonna put him on the IL, but they slightly just so I'm getting frustrated with this whole system, right? Just be honest with us. Tell us what's going on with our favorite players.
Yeah. For an example, another team, the Mets, when Pete Alonso last week got hit on the wrist, that night and the day after, the team's like, he'll be day to day. It's just a bone contusion. And sure enough, the very next day, he heads to the 15-day injured list with, they said, he might be gone longer than 15 days, depending on how his wrist responds. So as a fan, it is frustrating to see a lack of transparency. It really bugs me when you read the injury report on guys that you're like waiting to come back from an injury. It hasn't been updated in like 3 weeks. You're like, so is the guy, he's just sitting at home watching TV? Like, does he advance his throwing program? How's he doing? Is he alive? You're sitting around, and the teams hold that information away from the public because they want to gain an edge on other teams. But sometimes as a fan, it's you need something to get excited about, especially if your team's struggling or you feel like your team has a hole. So yeah, the way the injured list is set up now, I don't really like it. You can just kind of shuttle guys in and out with whatever you want to make roster space. I think it's really weird. But,
yep.
And
amen to that.
And teams are incentivized to do. You'll see, you can open up a 40-man roster spot by shuffling a guy from the 15-day injured list to the 60-day injured list. Just saying, oh, he's sore. He's recovering from this, but he's too sore to come back after 15 days. I think it's just it's getting a little ridiculous, and it's the transparency's gotten to like the level of the NHL. You know, I'm just waiting for it to be vague where they're like, hey, pitcher can't throw tonight.
Lower body injury or something like that.
The right side of his body hurts, can't throw.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay.
Come on, tell me some more. So, well, my friend, I think we done gone and did good this week.
I think we did.
Okay, so there's new merch up in the merch store, right? And if they're already in the locker room, if they're listening to this, they're already in the locker room. What are you going to tell them about the merch store? How do they get a code?
You can get a code by watching all the shows. We hand out these codes like they're candy, but today's code is code Jackson. Get 10% off your merchandise. Get 10% off and everything except the watch parties, right?
Yeah.
Or you get 10. You need a special code for that one.
You need a double secret probation code, but we've got them.
We've got them. So stay tuned for those. But
yeah,
speaking of watch parties, we have one coming up next week, next Tuesday. If you were in the Atlanta area, Park Bench at the Battery will be home to a watch party between the Phillies and the Braves. I will be at the game at Citizens Bank Park, which is pictured behind Bill right there. I'll be
Jackson's favorite stadium.
Be in enemy territory. I'll be sitting behind the Phillies dugout, so wish me luck. Might need to bring some riot gear. we'll see how the game goes, and we'll see where it goes from there. I will be doing a little live from the stadium, so you guys can see what's going on.
Nice.
I'll probably have a cheesesteak in my hand because Philadelphia.
Have a cheesesteak in one hand, a soda in the other, and you're carrying your baby.
I don't think he'll be making it out to this one.
Okay. There you go. All right. Well, Top Fan Rivalry followers, Jackson's just told us how do we get a code. We've gone through the league. It's been a lot of fun. I promise you at some point we're going to get Jackson on the morning show in the leagues when he's got some free time during that time. But Jackson, thank you this week, and let's do it again next week.
Yeah, of course. Same time, same place.
Same time, same place.
Maybe not the same place because you're at Citizens Bank. So maybe we'll find a different place. But
maybe. Talk to you later, my friend.
Talk to you later.